Salutations, Utopians. Hope all is well in your world. Just finished watching the Dallas Wings versus the Washington Mystics without Paige Beckers today. Hopefully, just precautionary. Natisha Hines Allen led the Wings in a victory, um, so that was major for Dallas. With that being said, I want to talk a little bit about the second domino to suffer from uh, the troll engagement world, the double-edged sword. Kendrick Perkins. Bill Simmons called out Perk for calling the Toronto Raptors a top six team in the East, uh, which I didn't think was very far-fetched. As you all know, Toronto terminated Masai Ujiri after a long tenure, most notably winning a championship in 2019 with Kawhi Leonard. It's been downhill ever since. Nick Nurse, the head coach, who was primarily there and during his run and was the lead head coach for that 2019 run, is now in Philadelphia. He was allowed to make one more draft pick. He went with a versatile multi-position defender from South Carolina. A lot of people expected Maluach from Duke. They went and instead got a guy who's kind of built like Scotty Barnes and like I plays like Dorian Finney-Smith. As his final act today, they announced they're signing Gary Temple. But Perk went on to get upset with Bill Simmons, saying like he's not the end-all be-all. You were once here, you got terminated. Though I agree with Perk's take that, with Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick's emergence, R.J. Barrett, Jacoby Walters looked very promising. Another guy who Ujiri picked in the late rounds last year. Jake Potel was emerging after the trade deadline. And then Emmanuel Quickly, whenever he can get healthy. I mean, I really look at him as like another Tyrese Maxey out there. And he's a guy who's not afraid to get on the glass. He's a distributor, can shoot from 35. Electric player, got one of the most automatic floaters from the school of Tony Parker. And so I can understand where that statement was, but the overall, just starting the draft, this is what happens. This is like the Doris thing. This is what happens when you start the draft. Cooper Flag is the LeBron, and I think just because he was trying to dodge any LGBT kickback, because, Bill has had some crazy statements of his own about single moms and stuff during the draft, and he says what people think, but it's like you gotta, be aware of where you're at, especially at the time where ESPN was, and low-key kind of crashed out and eventually forfeited his throne, but Kendrick, I don't think realizes the aftermath of like when he makes a statement like, the NBA was saved when Luka went to the Lakers, and then they get eliminated in the first round, and then you basically give an admission that the NBA is nothing without the Lakers being relevant, and then you're over there talking about draft prospects, and then he starts off by saying Cooper Flag is LeBron and Kevin Garnett if they had a baby. Like it's just like, first of all, I'm gonna be honest with you, if you're evaluating talent and you need to uh, combine two players of two different skill sets to describe one player, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think your expertise can be taken seriously. There's too many players in the league for people to have to break it down like that. It's very cringe. But even the way he said that statement to open it up already set the draft in the wrong way. And it was like, what is this? And I don't think he realized you can't be a troll and then command respect. So even though he was talking accurate, when you start the draft off like that, when you've said things like you and Stephen A have made it abundantly clear that the league is nothing without the Lakers, what are you doing talking about the draft then? And international prospects and educating us on international prospects at that. We know damn well you barely watch the NBA. Now you want to talk about draft prospects and then be sensitive when people are just pointing it out. And is it for clicks and stuff? Yeah, maybe, but like, you do gotta realize that, like, and don't get me wrong, I feel like some of these people are someone's telling them what to say. That comes with the price of being at ESPN. But it's just crazy for him because, some point you might even need to ask for employment from Bill. And don't get me wrong, I do think Kendrick has some kind of background with draft prospects. I read a while back that he's into the NIL loan business for prospects who might have potential and are in financial hardship, lending them money if they present themselves to be a potential moneymaker in college. But so I'm sure he has some kind of scouting department, but it's still like what you present. And then to think like, I don't think he's aware, just like Doris when she made the comment about SGA, you touch a certain side of uh, media engagement and you put yourself in a certain position. It's really hard to get out of that role now. That's like a certain scent that you get put on you once you decide to engage the troll side of sports entertainment. And so a guy like Bill, who's actually in the trenches and is a purist, that's the way you're going to get spoken about in those circles. And it didn't help, filming on an iPhone in your car. It's kind of like, I don't think people understand the pathway. This is like kind of a part two video to what I was saying with Doris, where it's like, I don't think you realize, and it just dawned on me the other day that maybe ESPN took this lane because they knew NBC was coming and they were going to cover the game in a more classy way. So this is the way to appeal to the youth or something and to kind of carve out their own niche. Like, we're going to be the jokester side of sports, even though that, they have a lot of great content, ESPN. What's sad is like the fact that they're overshadowed by these fast takes by Stephen A and all them, because they cover paraplegic, Special Olympics, uh, kids with disability Olympics. Like, they show really great content, but it gets overshadowed because it's not drama packed or noisy. But they'll have some really good articles. They cover track and field and relay and stuff, and it'd be like they got some really good stuff, unfortunately, but that's not what grabs the headlines. And I think a lot of these guys are starting to realize though that, like, that's part of why you're getting paid the big bucks, to put on the clown nose, so to speak. And not calling them a clown, but that's the hat you wear. You gotta be over exaggerating, almost like these streamers, you know. And so, uh, there's no room for sensitivity. You know what I mean? If I was Kendrick, I'd be like, invite me on the pod and let's talk about it. Because I don't think it's far fetched, especially if Philly has another year of injuries. The Knicks don't even have a coach right now. You know what I mean? Let alone roster construction is very awkward, and they got a year older, and Cleveland is loaded. They just got Lonzo Ball today, but um, the Magic are there. They're another dangerous team, but Indiana's going to lose Halliburton, so I expect them to go back to mid-tier. Anything can happen, and he brought up a great point, but it got overshadowed because he wants to start the show off saying things like what he did with the Cooper Flag comparison to try to draw attention to the draft, and you see what's going on. But it's kind of crazy, the backlash that he's facing. Alright, Utopians, I hope this video was cool enough. I'll try to do better next time. Global, out.